Ban the Bengal Files. Yes, ban it. We don't need anything that tells us about anything that ever happened. Should we watch the movie? Well, I don't know. All I know is India's history has taken a constant beating for a long time. First, we have a long history of invasions. We barely were on our own, apart from speaking about what happened in the ancient times, about the Indian mythology, Indian culture. We've barely lived. We were always being invaded in some way or the other. We had the Mughals, then we had the British. Now, virtually so influenced by the West that we rather watch Netflix shows than know about something that's real. And then we have our education system where all the history that we ever know is either fabricated or misinterpreted. And we don't really care. We just read history because we just have to pass the exam. You can't blame us for that. All the records of history has been either destroyed or manipulated or sabotaged as a part of these invasions. And not to mention the political agenda that everybody has today. And it's only natural for history to take a backseat. Amidst all this, once in a while a film gets made where people actually speak about something that happened. Well, how they interpret it is another side of the story. I'm not debating that. I'm not taking sides here. There's no harm as long as you're learning about something that happened with your own country, with your own people. But it is very important for us to know what happened with our own culture. First, we were ruled by the colonial rulers for ages. And then when we finally want to be independent, they decide when they have to give us the independence and what are the terms of the independence. And a 3-member cabinet union gets formed, and what are the terms of independence going to be? They are not interested in dividing India. But leaders like Muhammad Ali Jinnah were persistent, but they needed a separate country. They needed Pakistan. The cabinet union had come up with a system of grouping these provinces into different groups. Well, that's a story for another day, but initially, both the Congress leaders and the Muslim League, headed by Jinnah, agreed to this. One fine day, Jawaharlal Nehru does a grave mistake. He doesn't want to honor the agreement, and he doesn't believe in this group structure, and he wants to go ahead with independent India, which is not divided, which obviously does not sit well with Muhammad Ali Jinnah. That was the end of undivided India. Frustrated Jinnah thought that there is no way Pakistan's interests would be safeguarded in this whole gamut of divided India, undivided India, colonials deciding what to do, and he issues a direct action, which means they would directly take action to achieve their independent Pakistan. This was the war against the British authorities to compel them to give independence by partitioning India rather than a united India under the Congress control, and it was supposed to be a war against the Congress to force a reversal for the opposition of Pakistan. They put pressure by mobilizing mass demonstrations and tragically unleashing communal violence. Jinnah wanted to demonstrate that Muslims could go to any extent to get what they wanted, in this case, independent Pakistan. And they were willing to go beyond the parliamentary framework. Another party who played equal role in these Calcutta killings, Hussain Shahid Sohrawardi, the then Chief Minister of Bengal. In India, he was called as the Butcher of Bengal. He had zero interest in people, and Sohrawardi was the architect of this brutal campaign to force the creation of Pakistan through intimidation and violence. His manipulation began months before the direct action. He initiates a fatal speech that unleashes hell. He kind of tells everybody that he has taken care of the government, he has taken care of the military and the police, and nobody were to show up, which is a green signal for violence. And there were aides who constantly provoked people to go onto the streets. And Frederick Burrows played an equally sinister role. He made sure he delayed the reinforcements, he delayed the military support, he delayed police arriving to safeguard people. He always had information in advance about the Muslim League's violent intentions in this case. Calcutta was going to change forever. The rally began on August 16th, 1946. By 10 a.m., violence burst out in the city. People were barging into shops with iron bars, glass bottles, guns, bamboo sticks, and they were forcing everybody to shut the shops down, and they were attacking people physically and brutally. There were about 40,000 rapes and 100,000 casualties reported. There were severed legs on the streets. There were people dying all around. Dead bodies everywhere. This was a mass manslaughter. Next day, August 17th, retaliation began. Gopal Chandra Mukherjee, a 33-year-old wrestler and a meat seller, also known as Gopal Pata, took things into his own hands. He assembled men, he gave them weapons, anything that he could find, iron bars, country guns, bamboo sticks, anything that they could ever find, and he devised a plan to counterattack people. And killings continued on both sides. But Gopal Pata said he at least stuck to some conduct, and he asked his men to spare women and children, while the Muslim League activists did not. Gopal Pata disregarded all the conversations about non-violence because this was a matter of saving his fellow brothers and sisters' lives at this point. They have already lost about thousands of people for no mistake of theirs. So Gopal Pata was not going to give up, and who stood up to occasion and took matters into his own hands. On August 18, 1946 is when finally the British reinforcements arrive, and they make sure, and they still see the city burning. Buses and taxis were being attacked, and people still are demonstrating violent activities. And that's when they decide that this is uncontrollable. And finally, on August 19th, 1946, the additional reinforcements come in, and then they're able to control the damage to some extent, and they could finally see light at the end of the tunnel to stop this violent phase that was ongoing for the last 4 days. That, ladies and gentlemen, is the true story of the killings of Calcutta, and I think it is important to know what happened